Grow, Sell, and Retire is the podcast for the lazy overachiever. BD Dalton, author of The Assisted Purchase, True Gravity, and Grow, Sell, and Retire, is here to give his 25 years of secrets, tips, and assistance to take your business to the next level. This podcast is for anyone who wants to sell more, work less, and make better business. Now, here's your host, BD, with today's GSR podcast.
Hello, lazy overachievers. Welcome to the Grow, Sell, and Retire podcast. BD Dalton here, and today I'm talking to Brandon Lebowitz. Sorry, always have a tongue twister at the beginning for me, but from SEO Optimizers. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Cool. So tell me how you started SEO Optimizers and what got you into the industry to start off.
I just kind of fell into the industry, wasn't planning on it, but got my degree in business marketing. And the first job I got out of school was helping a company out with their digital marketing, which I don't really know much about it. They said, don't worry, we don't know much either. We're going to learn alongside with you, take you to classes and workshops and seminars. And after working there for a few months, just kind of realized everyone's probably going to have a website. This is back in 2007. And there's lots of different ways to get traffic, SEO, social media, run paid ads. You can do email marketing and everything works to get traffic. But I just went more towards the SEO, the organic side of things, because I thought I spend money on paid ads if you get up there for free. And over the years, I worked at different advertising agencies, and before work, after work, on my lunch break, I work on my own company and built that up to where I was able to eventually quit my job and focus solely on this, and really been doing this ever since.
Awesome. So, just for the people that don't know about it, a lot of people probably do or think that they know a lot about it, but just know the letters. Tell us, what is SEO and why it's important?
SEO is search engine optimization, and that means optimizing websites to rank on search engines, whether it's Google, you're searching on Amazon, you could search on Yelp, you could search on YouTube, wherever there's a search functionality, there's ways to optimize and get you ranked higher without spending money on ads. But SEO is primarily for Google search. So when you search on Google, there's ads at the top. Those are all paid ads. Right below the ads are the organic, the free listings. And SEO is about trying to get you in those free listings. There's 10 spots on that first page of Google. And we just want to capture that free real estate. But there's also, nowadays, when you search, images appear, videos appear, maps appear. So we want to try to take up as much free real estate as possible. So all your images, we want to optimize those images. If you have any videos, we want to optimize those videos, specifically YouTube, because Google owns YouTube. So when you search on Google, if you see a video, primarily it's going to be YouTube, because Google only cares about making money. And if you search on Google, you don't click on an ad, but search on Google, and then there's a video, and it's a YouTube video. If you click on it, the first thing appears. Anytime you watch a YouTube video is always an advertisement. So YouTube is making money, which is really Google making money. And they're going to keep pushing that as much as they can. If you're a local business, then you want to get in the Google Maps and just try to capture as much traffic or real estate as possible on that first page of Google.
That's awesome. So, and I've just updated my Microsoft license, and they're really now pushing for this holistic thing where they're bringing in Bing, and they want you to search a lot more on Bing and kind of do that through their Copilot scenario. Do you see that moving forward being a big challenge to Google, even though 80%, 90% of all searches are currently done on Google? Do you think that will start to have an effect as we move through and this kind of push from Microsoft or other providers of Salesforce and things like that?
I mean, they've been around for 20 plus years, all these different search engines, and nothing's really taken over Google since the 90s. So we'll have to see if something could dominate, but who knows what's going to happen in the future. But Google's doing their AI Bard, and so they're just doing exactly what Bing is doing. So we'll have to see if Bing could take over, which I highly, highly, highly doubt it. But yeah, you never know what's going to happen. But when I look in traffic over the years, Google brings in probably 20 to 80% of traffic for any website. Bing will bring about 1%. Yahoo will bring about 1%. DuckDuckGo might bring 0.5%. And then the rest comes from social, email, paid ads, people just typing in your website directly. But I've never seen a website get more traffic than Google from a search engine. And this is me looking at past 15 years at thousands of websites through Google Analytics and other tracking tools, but never seen anything even come close, which is kind of crazy, but Google just runs the show. But every website is different. So I would check your analytics to see maybe you're getting traffic from Yandex or some other weird smaller search engine, and then you can optimize for that. But that really doesn't happen too often.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So what are some of the mistakes that companies have made over the past couple of years, or clients that had previously didn't come to you and then came to you that you've seen either made some big errors ahead of time, or you had to unpack or unpick?
Usually it's backlinks. So the way Google works is you can put keywords all over your website. Google's not going to trust you. They want to have you build trust up. And the way to build trust is by getting other websites to talk about you. And that's a backlink. So a backlink is a clickable link from another website that points to yours. So if you're reading an article, let's say on the LATimes.com, and there it says Brandon Lebowitz, click on it, it goes to my website, I'd be getting a backlink from the LATimes.com. So building backlinks is very important, but if you build the wrong type of backlinks, it actually does more harm than good. So that's a big part that websites don't know that they need to build backlinks, or they build the wrong type of backlinks, or just so many issues with the backlinks. So backlinks are really one of the most important things for SEO.
And so what's an example, Brandon? What's an example of a bad backlink? If just, and you can be as generic as possible, abc.com, but what makes a bad backlink?
Well, so it just comes down to relevancy. So the more related it is to you or your business, the better off it's going to be. So if you're a photographer, you want other websites about photography. It doesn't have to be exactly what you do, but just somewhat related. If you're a restaurant, you should have sites about food, about nutrition, things like that, about restaurant, anything somewhat related to what you're doing. That's what matters. If you're just getting some random sites link out to you, like the mechanic links out to the restaurant, that looks a little strange. I mean, it's okay. Maybe that mechanic is sponsoring or has events at that restaurant, but if the majority of your backlinks came from like a gas station in your restaurant, that's going to look really strange to Google. So relevancy is really, really important. Or if you're getting like pharmaceutical sites to link out to you, or pornography sites, those would be bad unless that's what your business is, but it's all about relevancy. So the more related, the better off those backlinks are. Less related, the worse they're going to be for you.
Well, so when you're doing, and a lot of people, so how do you access Google Analytics and go through some of the things if they were just looking at it themselves and figured out, hey, I need somebody like Brandon to help me out? How can they go and look at their Google Analytics off the back of their website if they're novices?
Well, they have to set up Google Analytics, which is the first step, which most people don't have set up. So you have to set up tracking codes and put codes on your website. That way you can start tracking and get that data, because Google Analytics is free. But if you don't have the tracking code on your website, they're not going to give you that data, because they don't want to just give data out about any website. So first step, put that tracking code in. Whenever you install it, that's when you get that data. So if you install Google Analytics next month, you're not going to get this past month's data. So the sooner you install it, the better. But they're changing over from UA to GA4 in a month or so, and everything's moving around. So if you don't have the new analytics, you're not going to get that data. So you got to make sure you install the GA4. And then in there, they have run reports, traffic acquisition, source medium to see where your traffic's coming from.
Okay. That's so it's really, if you just said a bunch of things that people don't understand, that's why they need a professional like you to make sure that they get the right stuff as they go along. What are some of your favorite trends right now, or some of the clients that you're working with, or what kind of you're probably holistic, but what are some of your favorite sectors that you're working with right now, that and some of the success stories that you might have seen? You can name a company, or you can just talk about a product or generic product.
Not really any specific sectors, pretty industry agnostic, as long as it's something viable and legitimate, nothing weird or shady or sketchy. And as long as you're selling a product or have a service that isn't just hyper competitive, because with SEO, it all comes down to the competition. You're just selling like t-shirts. It's going to be really tough, because who's on that first page of Google for the word t-shirts? Like Alibaba, Amazon, Target, Walmart. And if you're just a small mom and pop shop, it's going to be really, really tough. So finding something more niche and unique, that really helps out. So that's the most important thing, is something that differentiates yourself. If you're just selling the same thing that everyone else is, we can get you up there, but it's going to take a long time. You got to think like Target probably has a whole team of people doing SEO. So you got to invest probably tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to be able to rank for those keywords. So it's all about just being realistic and just knowing who you are, what type of keywords are feasible to rank for, and going after those. So I work with like a clothing company right now, but they do clothes for music festivals. So that's something more niche, and that helps differentiate them. So by doing that, I was like, all right, we could work together, and been working with them for probably 5 years and got them up within the first year and a half to the first page of Google for all their keywords. clothing, it's very competitive. Music festivals, I mean, the more competition, the longer it takes. But once Google started to see them and trust them, now they're pretty much rank them 1 or 2 for almost all their keywords and just dominate. But it takes time to build trust up. You can't just automatically get to the top. You have to build that trust up. And unfortunately, there's no real shortcuts with Google.
So the more niche somebody becomes, the easier it is, or easier, not saying it's easy, but the easier it is to move your way up the ranks. The more generic you are with your automobiles or whatever, then you start to just compete against everybody that's got multi-millions, multi-billions to spend on marketing and everything else. So when you're looking at things like that, besides what's there directly or backlinks, is content also important? And what type of content typically helps in this scenario?
Yeah. So once Google sees all these backlinks and start trusting you, they need to figure out what keywords to rank you for. And that's when they look at your website and the coding for you to put keywords in different places, which get a little technical, but one place that's easy is just adding text to your website. So adding more content on every single page on your website. Google feeds off text. The more text you have, the easier it is for them to read, understand, and know what those keywords are that you're targeting. So every page needs to have content. The more text you put, the better. If you can put a couple hundred words, great. If you can put more than that, that's going to help even more with Google, just reading through all that, trying to just understand and decipher what is this, because Google's just a robot. They're not that smart, and they need you to really spoon feed them and give them as much information as possible. That way they can really understand what that page is about, figure out, are you trustworthy? Can we rank you? Is it going to be a good user experience? And so many other variables that go into their algorithm.
So, and with the advent, not new, but the advent of fairly accessible AI through ChatGPT and things like that, how is Google deciphering organic content created by creators versus AI generated stuff? Or are they going between the two, or is their algorithms checking it out?
I mean, they said a few months ago that they don't care, but who knows? You can't really trust Google. Whatever they say, take everything with a grain of salt. But they said they don't care if it's written by AI or humans, as long as it offers value. That's all that matters, is just provide good quality content. So I want to copy ChatGPT or anything like that verbatim, but you could use this like an outline as a starting guide. And in the future, you probably could copy it verbatim, which is kind of scary. But right now, it's not accurate. It's pretty close, but it's not there. So Google said, we want value. That's all that matters. Is as long as you provide value to the reader, that's all that matters. So if the content's inaccurate, that doesn't provide value. But if it's accurate and it's written by a bot, Google doesn't really care anymore, they said.
And so when you're looking at that, and you said, kind of video with YouTube and everything else, when Google's looking at it, how much is video swaying the algorithms or helping with SEO on websites that have web video or doesn't have video on it?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't think it has that big of an impact for Google, but for people, it definitely helps out because people want to watch a video. They won't want to read an article or listen to a podcast when they can just watch it. People's just attention spans are so short. So video is a really good way to capture them and keep them engaged and puts a face behind the company and builds that trust up and really helps out significantly for building trust for people. But in terms of SEO, I mean, it does help if you can embed a YouTube video on your website, but it's not going to have a huge impact, but definitely is not something bad. The more rich media, the more valuable that page looks to Google, and the more likely that they would want to show it as like a rich user experience with videos and all these other things versus a website, just a bunch of text. Not the funnest for somebody to go through, but it's not going to have a huge impact. Like backlinks or the text will have a much bigger impact on the rankings.
And when somebody starts engaging with somebody like you, or even if they're trying to do it themselves, you said that the company that you were dealing with in the music industry that was in rock and roll and festival t-shirts and things like that, and it took them 1.5 years. How long should people think was that a super long time, or was it mostly super long because they were in a very competitive area of clothing and rock music?
Yeah, it all comes down to the competition. So the more competitive it is, the more time it's going to take. And we got to figure out, all right, how big is your website? How old are you? If you're a brand new website, you're starting from scratch. versus like a website that might have been around for like 5 or 10 years, then it's going to move a little bit quicker because Google's trusted you already. So I've worked with a client where they had a website for like 20 something years, like a really long time. Never did any SEO to it. So me going in, optimizing it, making a few changes, they pretty much shot up that within like 2 months to like the first page to almost the top position for almost every single keyword, which again doesn't really happen all the time, but just depends on how much trust does Google have on your website. If Google already trusts you, but they can't read the website, they don't know, they can't find the keywords on your website, then me going in and clean up the website, putting all the keywords in the right places, going to get Google to read that and just instantly shoot them up versus someone that has all the keywords on their website but doesn't have any backlinks. It's a lot tougher to get Google to trust you. It's really easy to put keywords on your website. It's really tough to get Google to trust you. So the trust part is what takes time. And it really comes down to how many backlinks do you have versus the competitors. If your competition has 1,000 backlinks and you only have 50 backlinks, it's going to be really, really tough. Versus if you have 500 backlinks and your competitors have 5,000 or 1,000, it's going to be tough, but it's going to be a little bit quicker. So that was where the one with the clothing company, they didn't have many backlinks, but other websites had thousands of backlinks because it's just such a big competitive industry. So that's where it just took more time versus this other one I worked with, which was an automobile company. They lease cars out and they do an exotic lease cars. So it's more niche. And just by putting the right keywords in the right places, Google already trusted them. They just didn't have the right keywords. And that just got Google to, once they read their website, like, oh, this is what you're about. Now we finally understand what keywords you're targeting. Let's rank you for these keywords.
Very cool. So when you're looking at all that stuff and you're going back and reviewing, so if you got your 5-year-old website and you're doing some stuff, how what's kind of maybe one of the funnier stories that you, or surprising stories that you had when you thought, hey, they're not going to be able to help them, or nothing's going to happen, or something really happened faster? Maybe not the 20-year website, but something in that you thought, wow, how did that happen? Either good or bad. What was a company or an example of that?
I worked with the preparedness company in the past, and they sold emergency kits and doing SEO on their website. Didn't realize they had all like zombie apocalypse and all these keywords on there, and they started ranking for those because I was like, when The Walking Dead was really popular, and kind of interesting seeing those keywords pop up because that wasn't what I was targeting, but Google just reads what's on the website, and they had content about that. And after building backlinks, Google started trusting them, and then they look at all the keywords on their website and saw those keywords and started ranking them for those, which is kind of interesting. So you could see using like Google Search Console what keywords you rank for, and that will show you like how people search, find you, and it's pretty interesting to check that out.
And with the kind of the up and coming platforms like TikTok and things like that, how are there ways to help your SEO with people coming in off of places like that, like through TikTok, through Instagram or things like that?
Yeah, Google's pretty much blocked from all social media because they're all competitors, somewhat competitors, except for YouTube. Google owns YouTube, and Google partnered with Twitter like 5 years ago. So when you search on Google, like if you search for like Target, you'll see their most recent tweets pop up. If you search for any brand, you'll see all their most recent tweets, but they're not going to show you any Facebook posts because Google's blocked from Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, all those platforms. So Google could see how much traffic those platforms bring in. So the more traffic you get from LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, that's going to help out with your rankings. But having 1 million followers on Facebook, not going to do anything. It's not how many followers or how active you are. It's how much traffic is coming from those third-party platforms to your website. That's going to help you rank out. It's called social signals.
Okay. So if you focus and get people to come in off of where you have your Facebook following, but you have your links to an article or something on your website or directly to your website or a product can drag you up on the SEO stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the way Google really wants it is not you to post it. They want other people to post it on their Facebook, on their Twitter, and then you get that traffic. So, but Google can't really see which profiles are posting it. So if you're posting it and you're getting that traffic, great. But the more places or the more profiles that post it and get you that traffic, the more trustworthy you seem to Google.
Perfect. So how about 1 or 2, 3 secrets that if you were just looking at it today, or even just asking your web person that's dealing with you, what are 1 or 2 or 3 questions that we can ask, or 1 or 2 or 3 tricks that we should be thinking about pushing out there besides just having backlinks? What might they be?
Backlinks are the most important thing.
Yes.
If you're not building backlinks, nothing else matters. Then having good quality content on your website, meaning text. The more text you have on the website, the easier it is for Google to read and really decipher, because they can't read images or videos or audio. They're getting better at it, but they still struggle. So they really feed off text. The more content you have, the better. It has to be original. Can't copy it from one page to another, but as long as it's original content and offers value, I mean, it doesn't matter to Google if it's AI or human written. So just make sure you offer value to the reader. That's number one. But SEO is like a puzzle. There's over 200 ranking factors, but some are bigger than others, and backlinks and content are probably the two biggest pieces of that puzzle. Everything else is really, really tiny and has an impact, but without good quality backlink profile and good quality content on your website, it's going to be really, really tough to rank on Google.
So is there some sort of program or something else that you can think about to help build your backlinks? Because I'm just trying to think through how I'm doing that, or how somebody else is working with us on that. What's one or two things that I can think about to create a backlink strategy?
The best way is, let's look at your competition, see who's on that first page of Google, make note of all those websites on that first page of Google, and using tools like Prefs or Moz or SEMrush. You have to pay for these tools, but they'll show you any website's backlinks. So you can look at your backlinks, look at your competitors, and figure out what is the disconnect. They have 1,000, I have 100. How do I fill that void? Where are all their backlinks coming from? And one by one, you can see all their backlinks and reach out to those sites. I won't go after every site. Like I said earlier, it's all about quality, not quantity. And what's a quality backlink? Quality backlink to Google is a site that's related to you. That's really, really important. And authoritativeness. How big is this website? So if you're getting a backlink from the New York Times, that's huge. Versus if I gave you a backlink from my website, it's a good one, but it's not the same quality as like LA Times, New York Times, Huffington Post, Wall Street Journal. So the bigger the website, the more SEO value. And the more related it is to you, the better off it's going to be. So those two things are really, really important. And those tools like Ahrefs or Moz, SEMrush will show you any website's backlinks. There's only so many backlinks that you get from your competitors, because a lot of these websites are going to be like old or outdated, or no one's able to get a hold of the webmaster. So you have to build new ones. And a way to build new ones is, I mean, there's lots of ways, but a way to get on niche related sites is by blogging on other sites that are related to what you're doing. So building relationships with other websites that are related to what you're doing, and seeing if you could potentially blog or do an interview or do whatever it needs to be done to get on a third-party website.
Okay, cool. So in that overall positioning, finding those backlinks, finding that type of stuff, are there people besides SEO Optimizer and things like people like that? Are there other people that help have conversations with other websites or look at that, or kind of almost like a PR side of it? So if people are lazy, which most people are fairly lazy when they're just focusing on their business and the outside of their business, they don't. Are there other ways to talk to people or people that you work with that can help with expanding that backlink story?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Just becoming a detective, reverse engineering what your competitors have done, and just trying to figure out what they do. Did they get an article on Entrepreneur? Who wrote that article? Let me reach out to that author and see if I could pitch myself. Or maybe they're on a podcast. Let's see, can I reach out to that podcast? Or maybe they got an interview on a magazine. Let's see if we could get yourself an interview on that magazine. But it's all about just getting creative and reverse engineering what your competitors have done, and then building new ones by just doing searches in Google. Search in Google for your keywords. See who's on those first couple pages, because if they're ranked on that first couple pages, they have some SEO value. And if you could somehow get them to link to you, that's going to get Google to trust you, especially if they already rank on that first page of Google. They've already done something right. Google trusts them. If you get a backlink from a trustworthy website, that's going to get Google to trust you as well.
That's awesome. Brandon, what are you reading right now, either for business or for fun? What's in your library right now, or what are you listening to if you do podcasts and audiobooks?
For podcasts, just kind of all over the place. Try not to listen to too much digital marketing, because I read and learn about that too much. So like this guy, Lex Friedman, is pretty interesting and gets pretty deep with like AI and all these other things. And it's an interesting podcast. But for SEO, I'd really just go on different like Facebook groups. Seem to be pretty good for finding information, forums, to read like Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Watch, Search Engine News. But I feel like Facebook groups are the best nowadays compared to everything else. So it's not really reading anything. It's just going through and seeing what other people are posting and talking about, and just trying to learn from what's working or what's not working from them.
Perfect. And then on a kind of a personal note, maybe not in the business or in the business, what's a bit of tech that's making your life easier or more fun right now?
Zapier is something not making it more fun, but making it easier because it automates everything in life. So Zapier.com, free website. I mean, there's paid versions, but it automates so much that saves me probably tens of hours of work every single week by setting up all these different little zaps where it's like, if I do this, then do this. So it's like, if I post on Instagram, then share that Instagram video on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Pinterest, on my website, on Reddit, on all these places. So it's like, you set up one time and it automates it all. Then I can even schedule out all my posts on Instagram using like Schedulegram or Hootsuite or Buffer, one of these tools. So schedule all my tweets and my messaging, my Instagram, whatever platform you're using ahead of time. And then using Zapier, it cross promotes it to every platform. So you kind of just set it and forget it. And then there's so many other things you could do with it that makes life a lot easier, but it's not new. Been using it for probably like 8-9 years, but that's something that just makes things so much easier.
Yeah. And it just keeps getting better and better. And there's more APIs and more things that are happening with that. Zapier's awesome. And lastly, so this is kind of the rewind moment. So if somebody's just listening to the last minute of the podcast, what's kind of your golden nugget or your rewind moment to everybody? And it could be something you've already said, but something that they're going to make them go back and say, hey, I need to listen to this again. So go for it, Brandon.
Just be patient with SEO. It all takes time. It's not immediate, unfortunately. So just gotta keep working and building it up. And over time, Google's going to start trusting you. Sometimes it takes a few months. Sometimes it takes a few years, but just got to keep pushing it and not get discouraged because it is more of a marathon. It's not just instantaneous results. If you're looking for that immediate results, then paid ads, that's how you get that immediate traction. But SEO is going to be the more long-term play where you just got to be patient with it. Don't get discouraged right away because it does take time, unfortunately.
That's perfect. And where do we find out more about you, or how do we track you down on the internet?
So anyone listening or watching, I create a special gift for them if they go to my website at SEOoptimizers.com. That's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. They can find that there along with my contact information and a bunch of classes I've done over the years. I've thrown up for free so they can watch and see step by step how to do a lot of stuff that we talked about. And also if they want to book some time on my calendar, I'm happy to check out their website from an SEO point of view and give them some feedback, and they could book some time there as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on the Grow, Sell, and Retire podcast. It's been great having you as a guest.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us on Grow, Sell, and Retire. For more information, tools, or to book one of our team members to work with your team, business, or to speak at your event or conference, visit rockfind.co.uk. If you like the podcast, you'll love one of BD's 3 books, The Assisted Purchase, True Gravity, and the book the podcast is based on, Grow, Sell, and Retire. If you want to work for the rest of your life, that is your business. If you don't, that is ours.